in order for us to connect culture to outcomes. So when I talk about culture, I'm not simply talking about how we get along with each other, although I am in fact talking about how we get along with each other. But if we get along with each other and we don't deliver results, we're going to get along with each other in the unemployment line. So we still have to deliver the goods. That still has to happen. But I found that I know if I could, instead of spending all of my time trying to figure out how to deliver the goods, balancing people with performance, what if I just focus on this side of the equation? Because if I get the right people in the right seats with the right support, they'll take care of the other side for me. I won't have to spend a whole lot of time worrying about how to get them to do that, because I'm looking for people who don't know how to do anything but that. Does that make sense? So remember we're voting them off the island? I want to be surrounded by people who are motivated internally. They're not looking for Tony to motivate them. There are days when I can't motivate myself. So now I'm going to be responsible for making sure you are motivated. I want people on my team who are self-motivated. And I'll give you a fundamental difference between, you hear this, you probably have said this, that leader down there needs to hold their team accountable. Oh my God, that's not an exhausting proposition. I'm going to run around holding people accountable. Here's what I would rather do. I'm going to hire people who take ownership for their work, and then I don't have to hold them accountable. Here's a fundamental difference between the two. My son, who is about to turn 21, and hates that I still share stories about him, but that's okay, he's not here. About to turn 21, we have two dogs. When my wife, my business partner, when we leave the house for any extended period of time, while we're out, we have to send him a text that says, don't forget to feed the dogs. Now, it's not because he doesn't love the dogs. It's not because he doesn't know the dogs are hungry. It's because he has to be held accountable to take care of the dogs. When my wife leaves the house for an extended period of time, she does not send me a text that says, don't forget to feed the dogs. Why? Because I've taken ownership for the dog's well-being. Now, she does have to remind me to take the dishes out of the dishwasher, but that's because I haven't taken ownership for that shit. I don't understand why we have to do it. Why can't we just get the clean dishes out of the dishwasher when we set the table? But we can talk about that some other time. So absolutely, I have to be reminded. But that's the difference between ownership and accountability. And I want people on my team who demonstrate ownership based on a defined set of behaviors. Not some flowery term that doesn't have any, that I can't give you behaviors that demonstrate it. I want to tell you what I'm looking for when I'm looking for ownership. You would be doing this instead of that. I get hired frequently from CEOs who say things like, our team needs to do more, my VPs need to do more delegation, or they need to do more. My favorite one is they need to empower their teams. So my question is always the same. What would they be doing that would tell you that they were empowering their teams? Because if the two of you are in agreement on what that looks like, then this is going to be a waste of time. Because I'm using a word that I've not defined for you based on behaviors. Because always remember this, culture change follows behavior change. So we have to define the behaviors that we're looking for. I was responding to someone on LinkedIn last night, a friend of mine who asked the question, can you train someone to have a sense of urgency? That's an interesting question. I told him, responded, that my challenge is the word train. I don't know that I can train you to have a sense of urgency. What I can do is define for you what a sense of urgency looks like and what you look like. And help you bridge the gap between those two things. That I can do for you. I can even give you some examples of some ways in which you can show more urgency. But I don't know that I can teach you to be urgent, because urgency is subjective. It's based on my definition. And as leaders, particularly my CEO folks, we don't define what we're looking for. We use the word. But we're not defining the behaviors that support the word. Is that cool?
That's cool.
All right. So let's talk about these 4 laws of culture. That's why I'm here. Law number 1. Culture is the soil in which everything in your organization lives or dies. Culture is the soil in which everything in your organization lives or dies. I think it is critically important that we tie culture to something that we're trying to accomplish. That could be how we want people to feel about working here. It could be. There's nothing wrong with that. It could be some specific outcomes we're looking for to demonstrate we're being successful. But do we have the culture to produce them? So let me ask a question. Anyone in here garden? Any gardeners? A few? A couple? Finish. You too, Robert? Oh, my man. Yes! Yes, I love looking at them. I don't love doing it because you got to pull weeds, but I like when it looks good. So what's your name? Israel. My man Israel is, can we go to that school for Israel? Right, Israel's about to get picked up. So Israel, my man, is, so imagine Israel is at the local Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever he does his shopping, but he's already got his place, his little plot of land where he's going to plant these beautiful flowers. He's envisioned how beautiful it's going to look. And the main thing is he knows that everybody in that neighborhood is going to want his garden. When they drive by, they're going to look and say, man, Israel's got a garden to die for, right? So he goes to the Home Depot and he starts getting all of his plants and he gets them all in those little carts. He gets up there, the gentleman at the checkout begins to check him out, and he gets this price and he goes, oh my gosh, that is so much more than I thought I was going to spend today. But then he remembers how beautiful that garden's going to look. So he's willing to spend more money because he's going to have a beautiful garden. So he goes home and he plants all of those flowers and he stands back. I don't know if y'all noticed about Israel, but after he plants stuff, he stands like this. I was I won't take one. This is going to be good. You're going to like this. Come on for a second. No, that was so good. Israel's going to get a That's Cool t-shirt. So he's standing. What happens to my sound? I sound like I'm echoing. That's not cool at all. Stands and admires them. Days, weeks go by. He's watering them, but he starts to notice flowers over here. Some are wilting. You know, some are springing up because, you know, some flowers will grow no matter what you do. Weeds are coming up over here. At the end of the day, he's not getting the garden that he's looking for. Although he spent a fortune on those flowers. Although he desired a beautiful garden. He doesn't because he didn't treat the soil. See, he started planting something in dirt that wasn't ready to grow what he was trying to grow. We do it in our organizations all the time. We move people around. We spend more money on staff. We do all of these things in hopes of having a beautiful garden without thinking about the culture in which those people are going to be entering. Is it a culture on my team that is going to help you be successful? Do I even know what you need to be successful? Not what I need to be successful, but what do you need to be successful? Everything that we do, I can tell you through all the mergers, that when we got the culture right, our results went through the roof. When we didn't, it collapsed around us. When we did not, it collapsed around us. And our very first one did collapse around us. It was when I moved from my role to moving in with us to be having a single solitary focus on the culture around any mergers and acquisitions we were doing. So that from the moment that the CFO had identified a target, I was there with it. So we can begin to look at the culture of this organization and how it does or does not line up with ours. Because here's the deal. Let's think for just a second. What's your name? Alex. You could name anybody's name. You get your real name. Alex. So let's assume that Alex and I have decided that we're going to move in together. Our family is going to come together because we can get some economies of scale. Right? She's laughing at you. That's not going to move in with us. There's something going on over here with them. They're making fun of my family. Don't make me hug you. I'm not going to get hugs. So Alex and I are going to bring our families together. And we're going to do it so we can get some economies of scale. We're going to save some money, save on electricity, save. The food bill's going to go up, and hey, what we'll save on electricity alone is all that's going to be great. All of that sounds really, really good on paper. But if my family goes to bed at 10 o'clock at night, and Alex and his folks are listening to hip hop at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's not going to matter about economies of scale. Because the culture is not going to work. because of how we operate. Not just what we think of each other. We can both be very respectful of our families. But how we do business together speaks to the culture of our organization. And that's where we find the failure. So whenever we begin to think about any kind of change, we have to ask, do we have the culture necessary to support what we're trying to create? To support where we want to go? Because I will share with you that if you don't, someone said earlier, Peter Drucker said that the culture eats strategy for lunch. Absolutely. Don't quote him anymore, just quote me. Culture is the soil in which everything in the organization lives or dies. That's law number 1. Is that cool?
That's cool.
All right, how about law number 2? Think you get that over here? Okay, we have a kind of issue now, right? Boom.
Did you turn it off?
No, it just stopped working.
That's
Is that cool? Don't go back there. That's scary right there. That's not cool at all. So, you are not a victim. Oh, I hate this. I'm back to that feedback thing again. Yeah. You are not a victim of your organization. That are still saying it. How about that? That's all right. That's cool. Now the question is, can you hear me okay though?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So you are not a victim of your organization's culture. You're either an active participant or a preserver of your organization, or in this case, your team's culture. So when I would go to a new team, the biggest challenge I had was making sure that everyone understood that they play a role in the culture that we have. Period. You're either doing something to change it, or you're not. And if you're not doing anything to change it, then you are preserving it. It's not going to change if we don't do something different. And so the fact that I'm walking into a team that's divided, or I'm walking into a team with a bunch of silos, or whatever the symptom happens to be, unless everyone agrees that they play some role in it, it's going to be difficult to change. And here's what's liberating about that thought. What is liberating about that thought is that if we are playing a role in it now, we can play a role in making it different. We can decide what kind of a culture we want to have. And all of that being based on what is ultimately our purpose. Why are we here? That question I would ask. Because once we can reach agreement on the purpose, now we can decide how we're going to execute it. So that team that I was telling you about is a part of a nonprofit organization. That nonprofit organization's mission statement is to ensure that every child has the opportunity to succeed. Our team decided that our purpose was to ensure that every employee has the opportunity to succeed. Because by doing so, that's our contribution to the organization's mission. So then everything that we do, we start by asking, is this going to help employees be successful, or is it not going to help employees be successful? What do we need? What are the things that we should be focused on? If that's what we're trying to do, there are some things we're doing we probably shouldn't be doing. Over time, I had several functions that went to other departments because it didn't align with what we were trying to do. Because if that's the outcome we're looking for, if you understand, and my CEO got it, if you understand that by our employees being successful, you're going to accomplish the mission of this organization, I'm telling you this is how we do it. I don't need to spend all my time worrying about nothing against benefits, but I don't need to be worrying about benefits. I'll be in the discussion when you talk about benefits, but let that CFO be in charge of that. I want to talk about developing people. I want to talk about putting systems in place to give us data to let us know if people are really being successful, personally and professionally. Are we truly impacting their lives? And the greatest compliment I'll get is when their spouse says to me, I don't know what you're doing with her at work. Oh my gosh, she's at home, she's the bomb. Yeah, gave her life back. Gave her life back. That's super. Make sure she gets a t-shirt, super cool. Make sure she gets a t-shirt, I like it. No, absolutely. But it becomes, this is one of the things I struggle with in leadership development, is that it's always, I need you to come and help train our leaders on soft skills. And I want to know, what do you mean by soft skills? So they start naming them, empathy, caring, all these different words. Okay, those sound like leadership skills. Those sound like, I mean, it takes skill to be empathetic and to do it in a way that moves people forward. It takes skill to be able to have a difficult conversation with an employee about their lack of performance, and they walk out of there with their head held high, feeling like they got a plan to take it to another level. That's a leadership skill. That's not a soft skill. That's a leadership skill. I want to understand that. That's what we want. So I want to make sure, oh, I look like a strict head. I want to make sure that everyone on that team understands that they play a role in the culture we have. Therefore, they can play a role in the culture that we want to have. And they can decide what we're going to be like as a team. Not me. Sure, I've got some non-negotiables, but they're very few and far between. I want to know what kind of team you all want to have. With this outcome in mind, what do we need to be like as a team in order to get that done?